yes, we'll definitely reschedule or cancel this week's for sure.
Joanne, you look so fancy today. What are you
Yeah.
doing?
I am also a Dragon Book fangirl like Dan, and today,
I missed the whole first part of this call, obviously. I didn't get that reference.
I'll be honest with you. She's coming from nowhere on this. Like nobody's talked about books, dragons, or anything this morning. Joanne's just
Too late. Are we live
late.
streaming? We better be live streaming this.
well, anyways, Onyx Storm is coming out. It's like the next generation of Fourth Wing, and me and the MC in our office, we love those books, and to ride a dragon, you have to wear leather, and I am wearing leather pants today as an inside joke with her, and this just happened to match. So we are wearing leather pants to work today. It's just gonna be hilarious inside joke.
Leather Pant Tuesday.
Yes.
So let me ask you a very serious question, Joanne. You said it's coming out. So you're telling me you don't have the pre-ordered audiobook or hard copy coming your way?
I'm reading business books.
No. That's not the question I asked. You are a self-proclaimed fangirl, yet you have no pre-orders on the way.
I've been working.
Sure.
Putting that.
Sure.
Hey, that's a valid excuse. Joanne has been working.
I have been working.
Yep. So
Oh.
I already have it.
You already have it.
All right, at 4:04 this morning, I had it.
Are you wearing your leather pants to work today? Today is.
I don't own leather pants. You are not as big as I am wearing leather pants ever. Okay. But I'm glad that Joanne is a fangirl, and I just wanted to point out there are different levels to, intensity here. Your passions run deep, but not that deep. So
I will buy it this morning.
Hey, you can do what you want. I got the limited edition hardback coming in the morning. Like it'll be here tomorrow.
Oh, do you have the dramatized version too?
No, I don't need all that nonsense. I got enough drama with you guys in the morning. But anyways, my wife and my daughter are very, very, very much tied into this. My daughter asked to take the day off of school so that she can listen to the book. And I said, no.
I had some thoughts this morning as well.
No, you can't take time off to listen to a book.
So, Joanne, my daughter's a huge Wings of Fire fan. Is that the gateway drug?
Yes.
No, well, guitar.
My son loves the Wings of Fire book.
Yeah.
But anyways, happy Tuesday. It's Purple Shirt Tuesday, even though I'm wearing a black sweater on top of it. So far, the win today is Christina's headed up to Phoenix to do her Glover U awesomeness. Joanne has leather pants on. I'm sure that was a battle all in itself. So, what other wins do we want to celebrate this morning? I love that this is some of you's first call today. I got Jessica, you're like first time. She's like, what the hell is this craziness?
I might be dating myself, but that reminds me of the episode of Friends where Russ gets the leather pants.
I'll bring powder to work.
Yes. No chafing.
If this is your first call, just buckle up, okay?
It gets
full
wild.
of good content, but it's also a lot of fun.
Shenanigans. Nothing in my life happens without a little bit of shenanigans. You let them shenan once, they will shenan again. So, other wins, celebrations.
We should have left the Otterbots on. They could have all this stuff.
Yeah, no. I don't want any of that in writing. It's already live on YouTube. It's going to be recorded for history, and there's no denying that. Oh, yes, Joanne. We got the leather pant thing on video. I'm going to go back and I'm going to sound clip that. I'm going to just remake it 100 times. But other wins, celebrations, something you're proud of. We start every day the same way. Come on. The rest of you are awfully quiet.
I have 3 videos to shoot today. so I can increase my content. So I'm glad I got those done.
There you go.
It's a big win for me, getting all those things done.
I actually showed your page to an agent yesterday. Agent here in Tucson who's Korean was thinking about starting a page for Korean speaking, and I was like, actually, it's
Super
doing
cool.
really well. And I was like, here's an agent that we know of in San Diego that's doing this for Spanish content. Take the same idea, do it in Korean content.
I love that.
And then we found out that the South Korean region is open for opportunity. So she might open a region in Korea.
Nice.
I don't know about you, but like I would love to have an entire country in my downline.
Yeah. Yeah.
Think about that. Okay, what else?
My listing went under contract, and I have a listing appointment today, and I had
There
one.
you go. That's awesome, Big Jason. Good job, buddy. Love hearing that.
But the Saturday one, they already bought a house, and so I told them that if you don't have to sell your house, it makes more sense to keep your house and rent it out. And I said, I'd love to sell it, but you'd be better off renting it. So I didn't get the listing on that one.
It's okay. You're being an advisor. Sometimes that means telling them no. I can't tell you how many times I've said no because it's not about us, it's about them. And if it doesn't make sense to sell it, have that conversation because it's our job to add that perspective. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I completely understand you might want to sell it, but what are you trying to accomplish? Well, that's not going to accomplish it. Probably not the best idea. But right now, I've got a seller who wants to sell her house and buy something cheaper. I'm like, okay, you sell your house for $350 and you're at a 2% rate, and you buy a house for $350 and you're at an 8% rate. How is that going to be cheaper? She didn't think about it. We pulled her house off the market. So, all right. Good morning, Mara.
Hey, mister. So we got another house under contract yesterday, night before. So happy about that. But yesterday I showed buyers, and I just wanted to share the story real quick if it's okay. Went to look at a house. In the spuds, I pulled up on my phone in the house because they just, said, hey, are we going to find out stuff about it? It says something about soil, moving soil. And we noticed that the driveway had shifted a bit. And they mentioned that the neighbor had some issue too. So I said, how about we just go talk to the neighbor, knock on the door, see how much it cost them to redo their driveway. And the little old lady answered, she's like, I don't know, the builder did it. And then the gentleman came out a few minutes later because we were just standing around the front of the house trying to decide because they really wanted to offer on this house. And he said, oh yeah, see those fans there? We have 3 fans around our house and the soil is moist and we have all these shifting issues. And they were like, okay, heck no. You saved us. And so even though I kind of shot myself in the foot by saying, let's research this, obviously they're going to trust me in the future because they're like, oh my gosh, I really wouldn't have wanted to get into this issue. And this is in Red Rock. I don't know if anybody else is sold out there and how widespread it is, but just wanted to share
the
that.
entirety of Red Rock has issues with soil compaction and shifting.
Soil shifting. So just thought it's important to know if you're showing houses out there.
There
I think
was
it's a great opportunity to talk about is if you're looking at houses and you can talk to the neighbors, are the neighbors going to give you some really unfiltered, uncanned, probably some uncensored feedback? Sometimes when you're buying a house, it's not the location as much as it is the people that make it a problem. Finding out from the neighbors is going to tell you a lot. You might learn some information about the sellers that will help you in negotiation. It might give you some keen insight on the situation, right? If you find out that they got a huge fight and the husband got, a new job in Texas and they got divorced and shipped off and all kinds of stuff, it may change the negotiating points that you use. If you find out that there was a tragic loss in the family and this is something that they don't want to sell, but they're having to, you might come from a more compassionate angle and win the sympathy of the seller. Don't be afraid to talk to the neighbors. Mara, great point there. Love that. Yes, sometimes it kind of shoots you in the foot because you get some information that make the buyers go, hold up.
Yep.
I don't want to do it. But after all, our jobs are to be fiduciaries, which means we put our clients' best, what's the word I'm looking for?
Interest, yeah.
Best interest above our own.
And I always try to peek over the neighbor's wall if I can to see what do the neighbors look like. Because again, I don't want my buyers getting in a bad situation.
Yeah. So one of the things I get questioned a lot for rentals is we rent out houses and we talk about is people are like, how do you get good tenants? And I tell them, I was like, when they come by to see the house, go outside and look at their car. Because how they treat your car is how they're going to treat your home. When you're showing houses, the same thing. Go look at the neighbors. Go look over the wall. If you can. Don't get bit by a Doberman. Bad news. But that way you can learn what the neighborhood's like, what the environment's like. Yeah, the house might be super clean and super pristine and super awesome because the investor just flipped it. But over time, a lot of that debris and junk and stuff is going to migrate its way into your world. So, not exactly what I want to talk about today, but it's a good conversation start. Anyone else have any conversations, topics, objections, or situations that you want to work through this morning that we can better your experiences? 3, 2, 1. Good. What I want to talk about today is filters. What do I mean by filters? Not your Instagram filters that make you look shiny or Rosetta or whatever the heck you call it. Right, Raluca? I don't know what you're using. She's like, I don't use filters. This is natural, baby. But filters, like, okay, when you're having a conversation with somebody in text, have we ever had a conversation where they say something and it has zero intention of being mean, hard, or, creating issue, but you take it as an affront? Ever got an email from somebody that's in all capitals and you're like, damn, what did I do to make you mad? But it's just a 70-year-old guy that doesn't understand what caps locks means? Is everyone understand that how we in the present moment are feeling or our belief system is centered around is how we're going to receive the messages being sent? I spent 2 hours last night working through an issue with an agent that was having some communication issues with a client. And this agent's like, the disrespect of this is unreal. I can't believe they're treating me this way. I understand, I don't want to ever talk to these people again. I'm just going to give them away. I'm going to have someone else deal with it. I don't want to deal with this. And I read she screenshotted everything for me. And I read the entire message thread. And for the life of me, I could not see aggression, disrespect, cattiness at all. And so I go to my wife. I was all, wife, I need an emotional filter. I want you to understand, here's the situation. So I tell her the situation. And she reads these messages and she goes, oh, I get it. I was like, I don't understand. She's like, well, if you were in a situation and you felt affronted and attacked, and that was the filter you were passing it through, you would see some of this stuff is a little malice, a little sharp. And like even trying to put myself in that position of having somebody in the past yell at me, scream at me, talk shit to me, whatever, and then getting these same messages, I still couldn't come across the same level of disrespect. So I want to talk about this morning is sometimes when we're having communication issues, I want us to take a second and go, what filter am I running that through? If you're in a bad mood, should you be having negotiations? I got 2 head nods right away. Why? Or head shakes. Why is that?
You're not in an unemotional place and you're not going to be operating with a clear head and be objective.
Yeah, you're coming from a bias. You're coming from an emotional bias where you're looking at things and you're finding what creates a parallel to your narrative. You ever heard the term seek for the devil and you shall find him? Right. Anyone ever read into something and you were looking for a response, you were looking for something and you just kept finding things that define that. Oh, they're acting sketchy. Well, every time they look at their phone, they laugh. Like, what are you laughing at your phone for? Who are you talking to? And I was just on Instagram, man. Chill. But when we come from an emotional space, we come from an emotional environment, when we take part in negotiations, in corrective action or guidance, sometimes the feedback we get is pointed, it's sharper, it hurts. Like, but in reality, it's just them talking and venting. So one message here, and I'm gonna read this message just as soon as I can find it. We're talking about hundreds of messages here. Yeah. I want to read this one thing for you. I want you to see if you get the same vibe. Okay. Okay, I looked at what is emailed and it looks like our acknowledgement of the counter and its notation of additional counter is all that there is. So I'm assuming we're good. And we're good to go. And looks like what you said above, I read it more clearly, and Allison and I have signed both. Right. Does that message seem like it's very coherent? Duplicating some words, a little choppy in its wording, right? It's also 9:35 at night. Most people start drinking wine about 6. So at this point, we're 2.5 Chardonnays deep, trying to have a text conversation. Probably not the best thing. But is there any malice there? Okay, I looked over the email and I see our acknowledgement of the counters and the additional counters there, and I'm assuming we're good, right? Neutral, right? There's no malice. Okay, let's put on an emotional filter of someone that's had a little bit of an aggression towards it. This is how it's read. Okay, I looked at the email and it looks like our acknowledgement and the counter are there. So I assume we're good to go.
That's still a stretch, though. I mean, I don't think there's. I don't know. I think we're looking for it, but
exactly. But when you're looking for it, can you find it?
Mm-hmm.
Definitely, if you're reading it and you're in a bad headspace and you've had issues with that person, perhaps. But like you pointed out, our job is to remove that and also assume the best, I think, and bring clarity to a situation.
But that's the thing. Are we always going to be in the right headspace to be able to have these conversations? And if one of the things I would challenge to you all is to grow the emotional IQ around business. Your emotional IQ is not only understanding emotions that they exist, happiness, sadness, fear, regret, anxiety, whatever. Emotions exist, right? We can't get away from that. We do not live in an emotion vacuum. Emotions are actually pretty prevalent in our business, would you say?
100%.
Heavy emotions, heavy feelings, because you're talking about hundreds of thousands up to millions of dollars. You're not just showing somebody a house, you're helping them invest 400, 500, 600, $1 million. That's a big piece of business. So they want to make sure there's certainty around it. But if we are feeling attacked, if we are feeling affronted, if we are feeling marginalized, shit on, however you want to put it, and somebody has a heavy emotion with us, are we able to help correct that? Are we able to guide them properly? Right. We should be. We need to check our filters. We need to realize that sometimes we're going to filter things through that don't belong. Right? Some psychologists would say you're filtering it through past trauma or childhood trauma. And you know what? We're adults. Adults get to choose the emotional wake. We can't control our emotions, but we can control how we respond to them. And if I'm in a heavy emotional state, like I'm tired, I'm exhausted, I've had a long day, the kids have been running around going crazy, and like I'm just at my wit's end, my hair is falling out, stressed out. How do you think I'm going to respond to an agent that needs some help? How am I going to respond to a client that needs me to walk them through something for the 5th time? No matter how good I am, is that sharpness going to come through in my tonality or my word choice or my energy? Do I have a very real chance of creating an emotional wake on the other side of the phone? And if you don't understand what I'm talking about, let's go back in our lives. Anyone had a situation where you walked up to someone and asked them a question and they turned around and snapped at you? What do you want? Right? How did you feel in that moment?
Taken aback. You're like, whoa.
You're like, whoa, shit. Sorry, my bad. Sorry,
Yeah.
my friendship offended you. No, but in that moment, did they mean to be sharp with you? Do they mean to snap at you? I mean, now let's go forward in time. That same person, similar situation. How did you approach that person the next time?
With a little apprehension.
Instantly, there's a filter there. Instantly, you're like, whoa. I don't know if they're going to bite me again. And if it happens again, now I can assure you, you're probably not going to go to that person a 3rd time. But how does that respond to us in the real estate world? We have a client that may have been sharp with us once or twice because they're in a very heavy, high state of emotional stress. And here we are coming in and, buying and selling real estate when you do it at a high level just becomes another thing. It becomes jaded. Right? My agents that have done more than 10 deals, was the first deal exciting? Yeah. Was the 10th deal equally as exciting? Probably not, because you've gotten to a point in the process. You're like, it's exciting to get there, but it doesn't have the same emotional explosion it used to because you've done it a bunch of times. Well, we forget that because we as agents may do it 5, 10, 15 times, but our buyers don't, our sellers don't. But if we come to them and they're sharp with us and we come back and anytime they come to us, now we think every time they come to us, it's sharpness. In reality, we could just remove that filter and say, okay, let's take each situation for as it is. Start with a net neutral.
I think it's also helpful to remember that everybody comes with a story. I mean, I used to have to deal with this a lot in my former career, and even coaching teachers who would get frustrated with students that were not the easiest kids. You have to try to put the hat on that what's their story and what happened in the car and the drop off, what happened that morning at home. There's a lot of stories that bring people to the table in maybe in a less than ideal headspace. So, I mean, really learning to not take it personally is super important, and also trying to then create that safe space.
How do you not take it personally?
Well, I think that you do have to develop a thick skin. You have to remember that. I mean, I used to get yelled at by parents, that were really upset about something, and I could take it super personally, and just listening a lot and trying to understand. Most people want to be heard, and just kind of not necessarily restating, but making sure they feel heard and bring them down, and then they feel they can open up and share in real estate, I suppose, what it is that they're super anxious about or what they're frustrated about. Maybe it's a type of communication they're not comfortable with. I'm imagining because I haven't done many deals.
So here's some things, and it's kind of leaning into the topic, and the next 4 minutes will be very action-packed for it, is when we are looking at how to not take things so personally in a business environment, a business conversation, a business, technology. One, you understand the bigger picture. right? What's the end goal here? What's the big picture? Well, we have to look at all the players involved. We got a buyer, we got a seller, we got a lot of emotions, we got a high stress situation, we have a short time frame, and we have somebody changing their life, right? We got to focus on the goal. What's the goal? What is the end result that makes it a win-win for both us and our clients? Right? If we focus on the goal, it's a lot easier. Now we got a big picture. We understand the larger scope of everything, so we can take everybody's emotions into account. We can take the situation into account, and we're not just feeling isolated, alienated, targeted, assaulted, right? My feelings are hurt. Do you guys think you could hurt my feelings? A lot of you smile because you're like, no, probably not. Jim's like, yeah, I could. I'm mean. He could try. I have a 7-year-old. Ain't nobody meaner than my 7-year-old. Especially last night when he walked through the living room and my wife was at a business, her work meeting. He's like, Daddy, you're number one right now because mommy's not home. Yeah, I know, dude. I know I'm not your favorite. Fuck off. But the whole situation, right? We look at the bigger picture. Then we separate ourselves from our role. You as a realtor is not you as a person. A lot of times they overmingle. There's a lot of connectivity there. But we have to recognize that criticism and conflict are directed at your professional self, not your character or your worth. Raise your hand if you ever heard it's them against the situation, not them against you. But so often we take it against us. They're rejecting the idea. They're not rejecting the person. That's a big thing to remember. It's also why we hate rejection. We feel like they're rejecting us. No, they're rejecting the idea. They're not rejecting you. Then we create empathy. What is empathy? What's the difference between empathy and sympathy? Empathy is seeing somebody in a hole and knowing they're in a hole, acknowledging that they're in a hole. Sympathy is getting in the hole with them. I want you to be empathetic. I get it. Stressful situation. We're talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars, millions of dollars even. Understand that that may affect people's communication. The fear, the pressure, the stress, right? They may have words that they probably don't use in different situations. How do you understand their feelings more? Hey, Fabi, that message kind of seemed a little sharp. What's going on? Help me understand what your intention here was. What were you really trying to get at? Versus, no, she didn't. Y'all know what I'm talking about. So take a moment to ask questions. Right? Seek to understand. Man, understanding is the underlying reason that most communication fails. Because we have a definition in our mind and we're projecting that definition on someone else. Go ahead, Jim.
Don't have that clarification or understanding call over text. Call them and have that conversation.
Oh yeah.
If it got to that heated level, don't engage that heated level over text message or email.
And I've showed this before, and we're not going to jump in it today, but we'll finish the rest of this tomorrow. Go look Key and Peele texting. Go look at that. Remember that, guys? I showed you how Key and Peele have the text back and forth, and one of them's like, "Man, you're so priceless." What do you mean I'm priceless? Like, it's when you put things in writing, context gets lost. Inflection, tonality get lost. And what percentage of word choice is communication? A little bit or a lot of bit? Just a little bit, actually. Stephanie's like, a lot. It's not. What you say doesn't matter nearly as much as how you say it. And do we lose a lot of tonality in text? Almost entirely. So remember that. Tomorrow we'll talk about some other things on it, but today I just want you to think about the big picture, separate yourself from the plan. You as a realtor is not you as a person. They're not rejecting you, they're rejecting the idea. Understand the big picture. Focus on the goal. What are they trying to accomplish? What are they trying to achieve? What are we at in the stress circle? And from there, we need to understand and cultivate empathy is why are they feeling the way they're feeling, or what feelings are they feeling, so that you can understand the filter that they're sending from. One of the best things I've ever done in my career is to quit caring so much about how I feel in a situation. Don't take such offense to things. Yeah, I get it. You have to have some thicker skin, but not even that. I have very thin skin. There's some things you can say that'll cut me right to the bone, but you want to know something? I don't let it affect me. Because I know that some people are going to say things in the moment that don't matter. And the more you carry that with you, the more you carry that along, the tougher the relationship is going to be. Because every conversation, every interaction, every text, every email is going to be ran through that filter of hostility. And how good of a rapport can you build then? If you're walking on eggshells, you're sure as hell not dancing. And after all, real estate transactions are a dance. So, thank you so much for being a part of my morning. Did you learn something? Good. Jessica's like, no, I didn't. I'm tired, falling asleep. It's 8 o'clock in the morning. Why is this bald man yelling at me? It's okay. You could be in California at 7 o'clock in the morning there. So, for the rest of you, I'll see you tomorrow morning.